With this True Blue salute, I'm Carla Nichols. Joining me today is the president of the Burwell FFA chapter, Kaitlyn Simpson. How are you doing today, Kaitlyn?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. In talking about FFA, there's some contests that have already happened for the FFA chapter, so let's recap a little bit. We've had range judging going, we had range judging going on, and then we also had livestock judging. So share a little bit more about how range judging went.
Yeah, so we went to 4 range judging competitions this year, and then the last one was down in Imperial. Actually, it was our state range judging competition this fall, and we had quite a few. We had 3 teams go to that, so a total of 12 kids go down to Imperial for state range judging, and we qualified a couple teams to nationals, so that'll be held this spring. We'll go down to Oklahoma City, so that's really exciting. Um, Livestock judging we just had, and that was in Ord, is our district livestock judging, where I qualified for state. So we'll compete at state livestock judging in April during our state convention.
Well, congratulations. That's really
Thank you.
exciting that you made it to state in both of those.
Yes, thank you.
You mentioned going to nationals in range judging, correct?
Mhm. Yeah,
So, are you one of the members of the team that will be going down to nationals?
I hope so. Our advisor hasn't decided yet, but usually he takes the top senior team and the top junior team. But there's been talk this year that he's going to take the top 2 senior teams, and I would be on the second senior team. So hopefully we can get him
Fingers.
convinced into taking me. Yep.
Well, congratulations with that. There also was LDE events, and you
Mhm.
participated in the parliamentary procedure contest. Share a little bit more about how that contest went.
Yeah. So Parley Pro is a contest where you basically simulate like the correct way to hold a meeting and do proper parliamentary procedure. So I'm the president of that, and we go into this room, and it's an 11-minute contest, and we just hold a mock meeting, and we try to do the right rules and just follow Parley Pro. So it's always a fun time.
That does sound pretty exciting and also kind of nerve-wracking and trying to make sure everything's in the right order for
Yeah.
that.
And there's certain votes you have to take for certain motions, and it gets kind of confusing, but it's fun when we get to do it as a team.
Well, that sounds really good. In looking at what's yet to come before State FFA Convention in Lincoln, there's also CDEs. Share a
Mhm.
little bit more about the different contests you'll be doing for CDEs.
Yep, so CDEs are career development events. And this year I am actually competing in nursery and landscape, which is a new event. I plan to study horticulture next year, so it's really interesting that I actually can connect the two between my actual career that I want to do and these CDEs we get to do through FFA. And the other competition I'm going to compete in is livestock management. I've done that one last year, and you go and you answer different questions about different species of livestock, and you just get to test your knowledge on how much you know about the livestock industry.
You mentioned the nursery landscaping, which you connected it to the horticulture aspect. Tell us a little bit more about this contest that you're doing with nursery landscaping. What all is encompassed with that competition?
Um, all I know is that it's a test, which is really scary. I've never done this competition before, so I haven't need to start studying for it, or it might be rough. But I just know that you go in and you take a test. You're in a group of 4, but you take the test by yourself, and then I think you do like a practicum type thing. I'm not for sure. Don't quote me on that because I've never done the competition before, but something like that.
Well, you still have plenty of time too
Yeah.
before CDs are coming up. In looking at, aside from the contest, there's also different projects that you can do in the FFA program. One of those is an SAE, Supervised Agricultural Experience. You have a few placements and one entrepreneurship SAE, I believe.
Mhm.
Share a little bit more about those different categories of the SAE that you're working towards.
Yeah. So my placement, I have 2 different jobs. Placements is just basically you're working for someone else. So my placements are at the Hub, which is a coffee shop here, and Dry Creek, which is a Western store retail that we have here in Burwell. So those are my 2 placement SAEs. And then entrepreneurship, I have a market swine entrepreneurship where each year we buy market swine and raise them till fair, and I show them at fair, and then we take them to slaughter. So you just go through and show all the different steps you do and the different cost and all that stuff in your SAE.
And talking a little bit more about the timing on an SAE, you mentioned during, like, with the hogs that you take them to fair and then slaughter them, but with even helping out with your different placement SAEs, how is the duration on that? Is that something that you work towards year round, or is it just strictly like during the school year?
Mhm. So my placement at this coffee shop, I've actually been doing for like 4 years, and the Western store I just started this year, but they're both year-round things. So you get to go into this app we have, and you get to enter all your hours that you work and everything you get paid for that, what you're learning at your job, and that's called our record book. So through our record book, we keep track of our SAEs, and then if we keep up on our record book and enter everything like we're supposed to, then that's how you get your state degree.
And you mentioned recording different things that you've learned. In reflecting on the 3 SAEs that you have, I know they're kind of spread out on different categories or areas of the industries. So, what are one of the main skills that you've learned in having these 3 different SAEs?
hmm Um, well, I work in 3 different areas. So one is obviously like food safety. When I work at my coffee shop, I learn a lot about food safety and I relate that to my SAE for that. And then I work in retail at our Western store. So I learn about customer service and inventory and all sorts of that. And then for my entrepreneurship, man, that's you learn about everything during that. Feed rations, you learn about safe handling. That's just a big one that you can learn about all sorts of stuff through those.
In wrapping up our conversation today, I want to touch a little bit more on the greenhouse that you guys have there in Burwell. Before we started recording, you mentioned about how the senior class is kind of helping initiate a lot of that process with the greenhouse. Share a little bit more about where the greenhouse is at and some of the end steps for what it's going to look like when you actually get produce in the greenhouse.
Yeah, so Burwell Public Schools just built a brand new greenhouse this summer, so that's very exciting. So because the greenhouse is new, we haven't got to do a whole lot in it yet, but we're hoping after we get our record books done and after CDEs that we'll be able to start planning stuff in there and working in there and be able to offer the community different produce and maybe sell it to them or just offer different learning opportunities for the community in the elementary school. Um, Around here, a lot of people think about agriculture. They think about cattle or crops or swine and stuff like that. So this is definitely a new, unexplored area that often gets overlooked. Different part of agriculture that you don't typically think about. So it's really exciting for our chapter that we have something this nice and this new we can start exploring.
Well, that all sounds really great. And thank you for taking the time to join me and share a little bit more about your individual contests and then also the chapter as a whole.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been a true blue salute. I am Carla Nichols, and joining me was the president of the Burwell FFA chapter, Kaitlyn Simpson. Thanks for joining us, Kaitlyn.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.